Yay, audio's back. Look at that. Oh, finally. All right, we're back. The audio's working again. There we go. The audio's back. Yeah, just restarting it seemed to work. You know, why am I using... never mind. There's a piece of software that acts as an intermediary, and it looks like it kicked out the mic. So maybe every 3 hours it kicks out the microphone. Red Bull, yes. It's just John and I here. Oh, so... Hello, I'm Mr. Turbo. Hi, how are you? That's the best you're getting. I'm not very good at puppet shows. Anyhow. You're kidding me. Do you actually have a puppet in the backseat of your car? Thanks, Brody. So, you guys are getting the idea here of how long it takes to tune a car and how long it takes to do this stuff, right? You guys are seeing this? It's making sense? We're on live stream number 3 for the day. We won't actually count the first one, so we'll say we're on live stream number 2. All to watch dyno tuning. That's right, girlfriend. Wait, what? Yeah, check. Yeah. I love this microphone. Such a good microphone. If you guys ever decide to do YouTube videos on your own and you're doing the whole home vlog thing, my first advice to you, get a decent condenser and put it off camera. This thing, whenever I'm doing that home vlog thing in my little home vlog corner area, this thing's hiding off camera. These things are phenomenal. You learn a lot about recording hardware and whatnot when you start doing a YouTube channel. Brody, what you need to do is get John to go to Canada in Ontario. John's flown people to dyno tune people before, I'm sure of that. That is straight romance, like right there. That's amazing. So you two live in the same house, you date, and have matching 500Ts. That's astonishing. You two are incredible. Why not 500Ts? Look who's in the room, man. Don't rip on the 500T. We thank you for it, though, John. We thank you for it. Yeah, they do make great sleepers. One of my favorite things to do with my old 500 was actually taking on BMW 335s. That was one of my favorite things. Highway pulls on 335s in Mexico. That's a solid number for one night of tuning. Just for the record, if John hits 230 or 240, that's in one night. That's not from months of developing a special tune for the turbo. I'm just saying, keep that in mind. I think it's kind of amusing. Yeah, Alex, but yeah, that's the best thing about the 500T. For those that weren't here earlier, I did just buy a 500T as a thank you to John. So John and I are going to go pick up his 500 Sport Turbo very soon. and you'll be seeing that car on the channel a bit, but, you know, really, that's going to be John's car for John to do all sorts of badassery. And pro tip, or just so you guys know, when the built engine comes out of this car, I'm giving it to John. I'm letting him have my built engine. So, yeah, watch out for John's 500. Hey, you know what? A good stuffed turbo, multi-air springs, you'd be surprised what you can do with that setup. Really. Yeah, right? I want to see a 400 horsepower multi-air so badly. And if anyone's going to do it, it makes the most sense for John to be doing it. He has the facilities to make it happen. Yeah, when it comes to getting appointments when someone's really busy, that can be an outright pain in the ass. But unfortunately, when someone has a shop and they don't specialize in one thing, it can be a mess. And to be honest, like, I think the darts is something John wasn't sure he really wanted to get back into yet, so that might have been why you weren't getting much response yet. But it's like I said, if enough people ask John for work, I'm sure you'll start seeing John push into the dart market again. I don't understand why you had to ship the car, though. I really don't understand why you had to do that. That doesn't make any sense for me, or to me. But hey, it is what it is. The 500's transmission is a little, yeah. Like, I shredded my fourth gear in mine. Like, a newer transmission, the 15 plus transmissions, the C510, is a little bit stronger on the inside. It has to do with the shifter mechanism. But, yeah, it won't stop everything. Like, mine literally just shattered a gear. And it's not like I was shifting. I was in the middle of a pull when it shattered the gear. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, like, I have to bug John sometimes to get the time set up for the stuff that I'm doing. Like, it is kind of frustrating. I can completely understand that, but I know that John is clearing up a lot of his schedule as well. 100%. He's a busy guy. Yeah, that's what I don't get, because, like, they know ECU well enough. I don't know why they'd need the car. Like, if they've been tuning the cars for so long, why would they need that? Like, when I first sent in ECU to John, I literally just sent him an ECU. At least they could start reading and start looking at the maps, right? But yeah, it is a 1.4T. That's right. So what we've done so far is we've dynoed the car on the stock tune, but using EC's 40mm turbo. And then after that, we did a dyno tune using EC's tune. They made 192, so it picked up 20 horsepower. And then we moved into John's basic 2-year-old tune, and it made 212. Don't worry, we all hit the caps at some point, man. All good. Are you local, dude? Are you local to John? Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You got that? Johnny's reading, obviously. Oregon's a nice place. Wait a minute. Was there two of you? Yeah. You know what? Dude, if we met, were you here with another guy that had an ABS intake? I remember you. Yeah. Cool. Right on. Rad guy. The advantage for the 1.4 is really the ECU is known better at this point. The 2.4, there are still a bunch of map indexes that need to be brought over essentially before tuning can really start on them. That's just my basic understanding. John would know more, but that's also from talking to Howard a bunch. The 1.4 multi-air at this point in time is a very well-supported platform, and a lot of folks have been working with them. So at the end of the day, you know, a lot of the tuners know them better, so you end up getting more power. But yeah, the 2.4, you know, if more people start pushing out that they want to do this and, you know, not to be an ass, but put their money where the mouth is, I'm sure you'd be able to find John or other tuners working more with the multi-air 2.4, right? Like, one of the questions that came out tonight is, well, what about the multi-air springs in the 2.4 multi-air? Are they the same? They're like, there's a lot of development that could happen for that engine. It's just supply and demand, right? Like, if there's no demand, someone's not going to create the supply. But the 2.4 might have an advantage in terms of raw size, Johnny, but in terms of tuning, it's just the indexes, right? I said the 2.4, the disadvantage is the ECU, right? Less tuning knowledge.
Yeah, there's no tuning knowledge, but there's also just an additional leader to work with.
Oh, yeah, like that's positive. Yeah. So, like, okay, so agreement here. So basically, yeah, the physical size of it is a whole advantage. It's the ECU that's the disadvantage. So they both have their benefits. Given time, the 2.4 will become the better, though, for sure. I think the day you were here was still when stuff was being figured out for those years of darts, though, because that was a while back. Was it not? Either way, it'd be cool to, have you? Oh, dude. The multi-air springs are one of the most fantastic upgrades for a car, man. Were there test cars for SRT darts? Were there actual test cars? Yeah, and that's what an SRT car should have. That's pretty fantastic. Yeah. Alien Tech are very, very common. You see them all over the place. I think Johnny uses Alien Tech. Yeah, but if you were in your earlier turbo dart, you should probably check the tops of your pistons. They've been pitting a lot of piston tops lately. And it looks like it might not necessarily be directly related to pops and bangs. It just might be from how lean a lot of their tunes run. Worth looking into, at least. Yeah, Win OLS. All these terms that I've learned from hanging out with John, I wouldn't have known anything about those up until, yeah, now. Huh? Yeah, I have the white 124. Yeah, 16-1 was your air fuels on phase 2. So was that tune phase 2, Kevin? Was it a modified phase 2 for the turbo? Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember you, man. You're a good shit. Yeah, 16-1 at Watt, man. Data logged it. John's got it on the dyno. Yeah, because everyone has a spare 80K lying around, Johnny. Oh, that was only their normal phase 2. Okay, that's interesting to know. I didn't realize that. I thought that was one of their beta tunes for you. Cool. That actually doesn't sound right to me, Kevin. I thought phase 3 was their 1752. Doesn't ultimately matter at the end of the day. Regardless, with a bigger turbo, it only made 192 horsepower. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. I only know from the Fiat side, right? I think someone said phase 5.78 is the Disco Potato tune. Yeah. Well, it all depends on the dyno you're on, right? Like if you got 198 on the dyno you're on, if you hit a different dyno, it might give you a completely different number, right? And that's the thing about dyno numbers. Like you can't compare one dyno to the other, not directly, not like that. Disco Potato. Exactly. Like it's like I was saying earlier, man. Like it's good to have your number, but it's only really useful if you're using it as a comparative from the same dyno. Like, you know, if you have your baseline pull and then you get your tune pull. Like, do you have a baseline pull from that dyno? That's a good sound, folks. That's the sound of John getting ready to do another one. It's not bad then. You gained a bit of power. Yeah. That makes sense. It all depends on the dyno, but yeah, it's not bad. Woo! Hopefully 233. Cool. Right on. What's the time? Yeah, those AFRs are nasty. What was your time? What was your quarter mile time? The fastest time slip that I've seen was 14 flat with a stock turbo. The fastest I've heard of is the same kid, same car, running a 13.9. And that's stock turbo. I only count the 14 though because I never saw that time slip. So like that is the fastest time. Yeah. What was your trap speed? 14.9 at what? Oh, sorry, 13.9. Let me calculate that for you. I'll punch that into a calculation, and that means it must be a 12.5 because it's an EC tune. I'm calculating my shit. $98 mile an hour. That's not bad. That's decent. If we correct it, that means 130 because EC. But 98 is respectable for a stock turbo run, genuinely. I know, he ran 98 on phase 2, man. No car that's in the 14s is a heavy hitter, ever. Period. He might not be looking at the screen. We can wait. It's not a big deal. It might be slower than a 14.0 or something, but yeah, 14.0, fastest confirmed. 13.9 is the fastest I've heard of. And I don't understand how that kid moves that car like he does. Just absolutely mental. The guy's young, too. Real young with that car. He beats the piss out of it, but he can get it down the quarter mile faster than anyone else I've ever seen. I think the kid's broken 3 transmissions. Stock turbo. Mind-boggling how fast that kid can shift. Yeah, if you're serious about dragging, drag radial is probably good. I want to get stock tire times before I move into slicks, but yeah. You know, I'd like to skip the whole 13 thing with the 124. I really do want to skip over them. Just jump to the 12s. I want to get kicked off the track for not having a cage. And then I'll cage it. Gently, if I decide to cage it. This is how John tests things. Yeah, getting your 100-mile-an-hour in the quarter is a nice feeling. I loved having my 100-mile-an-hour sticker under the hood of the 500. I could never launch that car, though. I could never launch it. I could trap over 100 mile an hour, no problem, but getting it off the line without spinning the first half of the quarter, whatever. It's just me. You should go ride the quarter mile, man. 18% drivetrain loss. That's hilarious. Yeah, racing is fun. It's kind of the point. Like, if you don't take your car to the track and go run it and get quarter mile times, you know, it's kind of missing the point, right? Like, that is the whole point to running a car or modifying a car in my mind. It's to race it. It's to do something with it. If you modify it and all you do is talk about it, or let's say all you do is modify it and have a YouTube channel about it, maybe it's the wrong reason. Like, why bother if you're not going to take the car and race it? Or, you know, just go to the track, do whatever, but use the car. Like, why otherwise? It's just bragging rights. And bragging rights are boring. Quarter mile times are fun. $19 seconds. Yeah, it's all about just going and having fun. What, the 18%? Yeah, I calculated that. That's right. Math. Love math. That is the fastest 500 that I know of. That was done with a I think they were running a GT25. If you go back into the blue Fiat forum, the Fiat 500 USA forum, there is amazing information in that forum. Incredible information in the blue forum. It was just not shut, but people stopped going to the blue forum when certain people started saying it was a waste of time. That blue Fiat 500 USA forum has so much good information, particularly back in the archives. The guy that ran those quarter mile times on drag times, yeah, he was actually in there posting video. There are video of his times. The fastest I know of was the 13.7, or might have been that 13.6. But the guy was moving out. You know what? There might be a faster time on the 500 forums than that. There might be a faster time than that, because I think he was higher trapped than that. I could be wrong, though. But go to the blue Fiat 500 USA forum, go into the archives, and you will find people drag racing Fiat 500s back in 2013. ATP was involved, but it wasn't their car. Because I spoke to ATP about it, and they were like, who? And it was a guy that was working with ATP. I don't understand exactly what it was, but he was making some actual power early in the days. He didn't even have a tune. That car is on a stock tune with a big-ass turbo bolt to it. If that guy could have ran like a 13.6 on the stock tune, imagine what John would have been able to do with that car, right? Yeah, thank you. 13.9 at 96 miles an hour on the stock turbo. That is the fastest Fiat 500 with a stock turbo that I have heard of, by far. That car had a downpipe, a forged wastegate actuator, stock turbo, and I think he had the ATM front mount. That was it. Maybe a downpipe. And he ran 13.9 at 96. Like, he had a stock exhaust past the downpipe, too. Like, just goes to show you don't have to put absolutely everything into your car to get it to move down the quarter mile. That's proof of it right there. But, well, as close to proof as you can have without having the time slip. Time slips are very important, folks. 99, Johnny. Oh, Brett's. Yeah, Brett Melanson ran his 124 at 98 miles an hour on the stock turbo, a 98 point something, and then I was at 99.6. The kid with the Fiat 500, and it worked. He ran a 13.9. Like, that's, we'll just say he ran 14.0. That's the one that I know that there's a slip for. So even if we just refer to that, 14 flat in a Fiat 500 with the stock exhaust and a downpipe. I mean, like, mental. I think Jason's car has a stock exhaust and a catless downpipe. John put a resonator in it, but that's really it. It's pretty basic. Pretty basic. Whoa. I haven't looked at my phone in a while. Anyhow. No, Kevin, you have to have a code. Yeah, and the surprising thing, Jacob, is it works. Like, you can put a catless downpipe on the stock exhaust and make power. It's mind-boggling. I thought that the flange that mates up to the downpipe, that area, it's very, very restricted. I'm surprised how much of a difference the downpipe makes. I guess the cat is just a massive restriction. John, what's his name?
What's the kid's name? They played a merchandise? The one that bought James Club.
The original owner of that car, his name was Dane, D-A-N-E, and then that kid bought it off him. Can't remember his name, but he was actually in a news report probably about 2 years ago where the news, either way, he was interviewed by the news about street racing. Okay, this tune doesn't seem to hit torque limiters. That means John's about ready to run it. So you guys ready to see another dyno pull? Oh, Kevin, your exhaust is really nice, man. I took some video of it. It's really nice. All right, let's film some dyno pulls, folks. Okay, so tuning is going on what? 3.5 hours now? That was progress. I'm not even going to tell you what the number is. I'm just going to go post it on Facebook, and one of you can read it out for everybody. Someone go read it out for everybody. It's on my Facebook. 221. That's where he's at so far. So far, after 3.5 hours of tuning, and that's including loading other tunes in the car, that is only John's second tune, and he's at 221 so far. The turbo is a 40 millimeter turbo. It's EC's new turbo. We're seeing what it can do versus the turbo that John has coming out in a matter of about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We're seeing how far it'll go. We're hoping to get somewhere to around 240, maybe 250. That'd be nice. John thinks 230, 240 tonight, though. We'll see. To be honest, man, don't even worry about the turbo that's in this car. There's better turbos out there than this one. This is just something that we're testing. Now, this is also... Whoa. Had a bit of spark blowout on that run. Yeah, that hiccup was spark blowout. You're absolutely correct. I think a 2860 will be good for at least 350-ish. The 2560 sounds like it's a bit smaller, but it's actually quite a bit smaller than a 2860. I think 2560 probably cap out in the 260 range. That's my guess. Don't take that as gospel, please. Yeah. I love this kind of stuff, and this just makes me really curious what John's stuff turbo is going to be like. Because, you know, this one's a 40 millimeter turbo, and going to a 42 millimeter in the same frame, I'm really curious what that's going to be like. Yeah, 3-inch pipe and a filter, man. Like, that's essentially what John's intake is, and it works. Maybe, but you'd have to do a lot more to the car before you got to those numbers, man. Way more to the car. Yeah, well, you run a ton of boost and you end up getting blowout. It's part and parcel. But, Brody, you know that. You're quite proficient. I think I need Red Bull. I need something to drink. Yeah, you don't want to be spending $16 a gallon. Yeah. Blowout is where the airflow from that's coming in through the throttle body into the engine, the airflow going into the cylinder, it's essentially so intense that it blows the spark out, kind of like you blowing out a candle. Really? Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Alex. There's a 7-Eleven next door, but I'm going to grab the Red Bull out of Kevin's car. Where is it, Kevin? Backseat? In the trunk? Thanks, Kevin. Goddamn puppets. So this is the part where we start getting into the dirty, dirty fine stuff. So this is going to be where John starts making the more incremental changes to the tune and start diving to see how much farther it'll go. Cranberry Red Bull is absolutely fine, Kevin. I'm tired. Hey, Kevin, have you gapped the plugs in this car? Do you know what the plug gap's set at? We're going to dyno my car and see what's going on, see if the last set of changes helped it at all this weekend. But we're not going to spend any time really tuning that car because that engine just has to come out anyways. I'm done with that engine. We'll dyno tune the next one. Oh, so, okay, so they probably haven't been gapped. That's probably part of it. Does John know that, Kevin? No, because machine head's not back yet. Or the cylinder head's not back yet. Okay, John. Okay, as long as John knows, then you're good. Cool. I have yet to damage a stock plug having them gap. It's always been fine. Yes, 221 with the stock gap. That is correct. That's what happens when you don't command 1,000,000 pounds of boost. You don't need to have a ton of boost in order to make power. Have yourself a good night. There will be more results coming. It's this takes a bit of time. The reality is, I'm not gonna lie, the final dyno pull, I'm gonna hide until the episode that comes out over the next couple days. But we ain't done yet anyways. So what we're gonna do is after the next dyno pull, I'm gonna call it, and that's where we're going to stop the live stream. So that still gives us probably another 20 minutes. But after the next dyno pull, I will be stopping the live stream, just so you folks know. It's actually not bad. I've never had cranberry. Yeah, in my inbox, Brody, in my inbox. Yeah, just one more dyno pull for the night, and then I'm going to shut it down. Everything else will come out in the next video. Woo. Yeah, I can see why. It's actually really good, Kevin. I'm not a big Red Bull person. It's really quite good. So whenever I'm here, I usually leave shit everywhere. So I'm going to go put this away. Good night, Jacob. I'll talk to you later, man. I'm going to go put my one of my Julia turbos away. For those who didn't see it, this is the turbo from my QV engine. That's one of the turbos. I'm dropping oil over John's glove. He's going to love that. All right, I'll be right back. Actually, that was coolant, not oil, but that's okay. It's actually only like 10 to 10 here, but it's been a long day. I have a lot of catching up to do with social media. I can't. I still have to drive tonight, man. Yeah, just text me your address. I can pick you up tomorrow. Okay, anti-lag. You know what? I think John's probably best to answer that question. He is reading. Let me make sure he saw that. But just so you know, I think you're talking, when you say anti-lag, maybe clarify, because anti-lag to me means you're trying to get the turbo spooled. Are you talking about a launch control? Or is that what you're actually referring to? Because anti-lag is common in rally cars, but it's really bad for the turbo. Like really, really bad for the turbo. A two-step. Okay. Yeah, my car has a launch control in it. Actually, all of my Fiats have had launch control in them. And it just brings the revs up to hold, builds a little bit of boost, and away you go. You don't need to have pops and bangs for launch control. It's completely unnecessary. A lot of folks like it because it's just obnoxious and loud and kind of fun, but essentially a launch control should only be, you know, rev hanging with a bit of boost building, essentially, in my mind. I'll make sure John gives you a proper answer, though. Give me a second. All right, he's looking at it. Yeah, like I completely agree. Like I have John's version of it, which is not as obnoxious, not nearly, you don't get the big bangs out of it, right? Which is kind of a bad sound anyways, but I just kind of get tired of it eventually. And it's just, yeah. Oh, if you just emailed them over the last couple days, Hunter, there is a wait time. Give them some time to get back to you. They're an incredibly busy shop. Incredibly busy. Now, John's just making noise now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. You have a 124. Kevin's exhaust is actually really nice. And I mean physically as an exhaust. When I took some video of it, you'll see it in the next episode. But his exhaust is actually really, really good. Who's what? Probably Greg. I think is okay, Turbo Dart, is that the exhaust Kevin has? I think that was mentioned earlier. It is really nice looking, and it does sound really good as well. It sounds really, really good. Yeah, that's a good combo. That's a really good combo. I love the way my 500 sounded because my 500 was catless as well with a muffler delete. I ended up running 3-inch straight pipe on it, but yeah, sounded so good. Oh yeah, the compressor speed, the calculated compressor speed mapping in your tune for your car was all sorts of wacky. Those values essentially should have matched. Instead, they were just all over the place. So on one side of the table, you know, your turbo compressor is allowed to get to X speed, but on another map, it was only allowed to go to Y. So it would just, it caused it to cut power. Point of diminishing returns. The only reason I went with a 3-inch is just because I was putting the TD05 eventually on the car. By that time, I knew that I was going to go with a larger turbo. Yeah, I think the 3-inch gain, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was about a 5 horsepower gain over a 2.5. So it's not a big gain in terms of a stock turbo car, but if you move up to a bigger turbo, well, then the gains will really start to show themselves. Hunter, I'll remind him tomorrow to go look for your stuff, just to be sure. That's the thing John hates when I'm down here. I'm like his reminder. Yeah, a stuffed turbo can be fantastic, really. Yeah, just, you know, make sure that if you're having it stuffed, that both sides are being done. You don't, oh, excuse me, the stuffed turbo that's in my car, it's a stuffed compressor wheel, but it's a stock exhaust wheel, essentially. And, you know, it's like I've said before, not so hot on that turbo, neither is John. The new one is both stuffed on the compressor. Glad to. You know what the biggest benefit actually was from that 3-inch exhaust? Was the sound. Oh, rad. Oh, nice. So you're in the same batch as me then. So you're getting one of these first ones. Yes. So good. I can't wait to get that thing on my car, man. I'm dying to see what that thing will do. Mostly because I'm getting really tired of driving around in a sub 200 horsepower 124. Like, that's crushing almost. You too, Queen. I don't know, like, if you want to see, if you haven't seen the video, go watch Matt Farah drive my 500. There's this one part where he does a drive-by, and the sound, or actually it's me driving it, but like he records the drive-by, but the sound that the thing makes, so good. Just go watch that video just for that one sound clip. Sit there and watch the one part over and over again. It'll really mess with Matt's analytics, but he won't mind. And it sounded so good. Oh, you met John at Raptors on the Dragon. So do you have a Hyundai or Kia as well? Like a Veloster or... Oh. Why not? I heard from John that the new batch of multi-air springs is on their way. He sold out of the first batch really fast. So I know he has another batch of them on the way. The multi-air springs are a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. And I love watching people try and say that it's a bad idea. I won't say why, but they're 100% wrong. Defined categorically 100% incorrect. I get a chuckle every time they say it's not the right thing to do. It's kind of funny. The thing that's going to make your car the fastest out of those things is by far the underglow. Underglow makes every car way faster. It's the only mod that's better than stickers. All right, I'm going to see where John's at. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're just about ready for that last pull, folks. We're just about ready. Oh, you know what? Almost there. It is so cold in here. Good Lord. Yeah, it's not that difficult to really, if you think about it, it's just essentially solving valve float or valve spring float. Just if you go look up what a floating valve is, it kind of helps explain it. John did a video really recently that goes into a lot of detail on the upgrade. I shared that video on my YouTube channel. So if you go to my community section, there's a link to that video. But it's the best explanation that's out there. It's essentially valve float, which is where the spring can't recover fast enough, so it essentially sits there and floats instead of bouncing. It's a great explanation. They work because if they can recover fast enough, it means that the valve will operate correctly at higher RPM. The lower RPM, it could just be from the increased pressure, could be anything, but really the top end is the biggest benefit from those springs. Sorry, you didn't know what was the thing? The multi-air springs? Oh God, yeah, multi-air. We did a test. There's actually a video on my channel where we dynoed them. That was hilarious. So that car was a torque, or has the torque stage 1 tune in it, and the last dyno pull that we used for the comparison was actually torque stage 1 plus. Oh yeah, valve float's a thing, man. Anyhow, essentially like 10-15 horsepower out of springs, and that was with less boost. If there had been the equal amount of boost in the car, it would have been more. Valve float happens. It's a very common, very old thing. When it happens on a normal traditional engine, you're going to hear a lot of noise when it happens. But essentially, the valve can't operate correctly because the spring is not recovering fast enough. That's a good question. I don't know. Let me ask. It's about 6,800 right now. Thank you, Alex. Again, if Alex speaks, listen. Highly recommend listening to that man. But yeah, his current rev limiter is 6,800 RPM. Yeah, actually, that would be a very useful metric. Knowing what those springs do in a bone stock 500T would be interesting. I would like to know that number. The other thing I really want to know is what would happen if you put them into a non-turbo Fiat? The non-turbo Fiats are multi-air as well. The engines are extremely similar. I would love to see what those springs do in a non-turbo Fiat 500. I bet there's some gains to be had there. Okay, he's just about ready. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, finally. Based on what I saw from this car, Kevin, not impressed. Based on what I've seen from other cars, not impressed. Based on they still have yet to beat a car or create a car that can beat one of John's tunes or my cars, not impressed. On which engine? The built engine? The vlog. What about? Sorry. Oh, I don't watch their vlogs, man. I don't watch anything EC does. It's not worth looking at. Toby's actually not a bad guy. Like, met that guy at the Dragon, and I have nothing bad to say about the guy. I actually really like the guy. Seems really cool. I just don't like his coworkers, specifically Greg. Sorry, so the 400 horsepower question. If Fate hadn't happened the way it had, and I wasn't doing the Julia swap, yeah, absolutely. The engine that's sitting over there, the one I showed everyone earlier, yeah, that engine, that thing's good for more like 500. It just needs a giant freaking turbo to make it all happen, right? And it's a question of will the head support it. But 400 shouldn't have been an issue. With what's going to go on the car and everything, yeah, we're looking at probably like a 320 horsepower build with the built engine. At least that's the goal. We won't know until we really dive into it. Yeah. After that, it's on to the Julia engine, which is more of a 500, 600, 700 horsepower game instead. Yeah, that tree, man. It jumped out right in front of me. Stupid tree. Ah! Bad tree. Yeah, oh yeah. I talk to that guy periodically. He has it was a T-Jet that he hit 400 with. He actually had a 124 Abarth, and then recently he sold it and bought a BMW. But yeah, he hit 400 on a T-Jet, 397 or something like that. Close enough to 400 as far as I'm concerned. You can get them on Teespring. Just look up Pistons and Petrol, and you'll find Bad Tree. You'll also find my car on my shirt, but that's okay. I had to commemorate the come how, so I made a T-shirt. That's how you commemorate everything. Make a T-shirt. You shouldn't let EC beat you. Tell them to stop touching you. Don't hang out there. Yeah, right? Man, those fast-moving trees you really got to look out for. No, like that was a lesson in bad tires. So I killed those tires at the Dragon, and I underestimated how bad they were. And that was my fault for underestimating that. Like, that's dumb. But ultimately, yeah, my tires were nuked. It's one of the reasons the first thing I did on the white one was put on wheels and tires. Like, after the Julia swap happens, that's one thing I'm still not sure what I'm going to do. Like, I need to get wider wheels under that car. I'm not going to leave 17x9s in the back end of that car. I kind of want to see if I can get some custom 6ULs done that are wide enough for, like, something big. That's why we stay above the board, man. Stay above the board, be legitimate. That way someone can't try and, you know, fuck you from the background. All right. How we doing, John? 4 minutes? I'm pretty sure he just said 4 minutes. 4 more minutes till we do this run. Yeah, that's bizarre. There's no way you should have lost. I don't know what they had going on, but you shouldn't lose versus an equally modified EC car ever. There's no reason. There has to be something wacky, but it is what it is, man. The race is a race. Can't win them all. Right? Yeah. That's the big debate with the QB swap. Like, in order to go really play on the quarter mile, it's either rent the quarter mile for private sessions purely or do a full-on cage so I don't get my ass kicked off the quarter mile perpetually. But I'd love to drag race a bunch of different cars in the quarter mile just to do it. I'd love to race a Hellcat on the quarter mile with the QB swapped 124. That, to me, is a pretty fantastic goal in my mind. Night, Alex. I'll talk to you later, man. Oh, we're so close, folks. So just as I said earlier, after this dyno run, we're going to shut her down, and I'm going to give you guys some final information in the next video. But I can tell you this, just listening to a dyno pull, you can kind of tell what's going on. Is that where I threw it, the mop bucket? Oh, yeah. There's a bottle of nitrous in the corner. Oh. That sounds like a good time to me. An SRT4 swap into a dart? That sounds like fun. I'm guessing that means he's almost ready. Yeah, it isn't even close to that power level, man. Generally, EC Phase 2 puts out about the same amount of power as Torque Stage 1, generally speaking. Like, you know, there's different mods and whatnot to be taken into account, but mod for mod. Brody, we don't have to start you. You wrote the book on the claim. And you did it with science. Yeah, like, depends on the dyno you're on. That's probably in that range, right-ish. Like, a really hopped up 500 or dart or whatever on a multi-air 1.4, like really, really hopped up, we'll get close to right around that 200 number. After that, time for a new turbo. Which isn't that big a deal, really. Like, a sucked turbo swap in one of these cars, really not that bad. Like, compared to doing a big turbo, a lot easier than having to mess with crazy ass custom manifolds or new manifolds, having to have your lines custom done. Like, even compared to like a 1752, a SUP turbo is a really easy install. And as we've seen here, like a SUP turbo can do okay. Yeah, they ain't got shit as far as the 124 goes. Yeah. See, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, if you look at like Brett's 124, he's trapping at like 98, knocking on 99. Like, that is a like 200 horsepower. Oh, Steve, you're the guy I was talking to the other night, aren't you? Brett's car is a rocket. Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I know who we're talking to. Right on, man. I feel your pain. Steve and I were talking for, I think we were probably talking for almost an hour the other night. It's Steve's another individual who's got a car that doesn't want to make any power, kind of like my white one. Different problems, obviously. He doesn't have oil consumption issues like I do and everything. Very different problems, but yeah, I can relate, man. Did your actuator come in yet? I know you'd order an actuator. Did you end up getting that? Brad. Yeah, mine's not here yet. I checked if my actuator was in yet, but nah. I bought a forged wastegate actuator for my 124 for the built engine just to see, just in case the stock actuator's not enough. Hey, you know what? A SUP turbo is a great way to go, Ben. It's a fantastic way to go. I hear him too. I think that's actually temperature holding. I think he's trying to hit that temperature quickly before we can start running. Finishing off the tune-up load. Let me double check. John says 2 more minutes. The cylinder head's a big question for me. I want to know how much of a difference the cylinder head's going to make. Like, I've got my ideas on what it's going to do, and I've had cylinder heads done in other cars. I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that. Do it, man. I'm Canadian. I think we know what that means. Okay, so that fan's the dyno fan kicking in, which means John's going to make a run. Oh, yeah, dude. A SUP turbo is often enough anyways. Like, if you get a really good SUP turbo and you push it to its absolute limit, you're getting near the end of what you really want to push on the stock bottom end anyways. Like, even if you could hit 250 or 260 on pump gas on the dyno once or twice, I wouldn't want to run that every day. That's just running a risk of melting pistons. Like, the connecting rods and the crank in these are good, but the pistons, nothing special. When this engine comes out, or not this engine, the engine in my 124 comes out, we're going to tear that thing down eventually and show you everything that's inside of that multi-year 1.4. Okay, let me grab my camera so I can do this right. Folks, the final dyno run for the evening. Okay, so it's time for that final dyno run. I'm guessing 235 horsepower. But, I don't know, so far it's pretty good next general. I was definitely thinking that. It's really weird.
third gear pull is your pull press.
Okay, so that made a bit more power. That was his third gear pull. I'm not going to say what that number is. He's about to do a fourth gear pull, which is the 1-to-1. I'll tell you this. That pull was more horsepower than his last third gear pull. Having an addiction to burnouts is just fine. Oh, that's the same clutch that I was running in my 500 for a long time. That Kevlar, fantastic clutch. I love that clutch. I ended up using a lightweight flywheel and a unsprung clutch after that. I preferred the Kevlar face clutch. That was only a third gear pull, so it doesn't actually really matter. I don't really want to say, and I won't be telling the final number until the video comes out. It's a top secret for now. You can generally tell if it's a good number based on my face, though. Promise you, I'm not very good at hiding that shit. All right, he's just getting set to do the fourth gear pull. As soon as that's done, end button, and we'll talk soon. No, save that for the video, man. So exciting. It's like Christmas. I love teasing. It's fun. We have toques and sweaters. Yeah, another healthy run. John's going to keep going for the night. But, yeah, 223 so far. But that's on John's dyno. It's not bad. Really. It'll beat any EC tune. Anyhow, folks, I'll give you guys the full deal very shortly. I'm going to have a video up over the next couple days. Yeah, there was definitely a bit more blowout going up to the top end of that tune. So if John's making a couple more adjustments, probably might have to look at the plugs eventually, but anyhow, all right, folks. Fingers crossed. I'll talk to you soon.